Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. So I want to jump on and do a little video on um, the addiction center that I was working at. Was like eating disorder and alcohol addictions. I was a mental health tech at this one. It just seemed like there was so much stuff going on there that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I did a video on the other one where there was like this baby spirit that was meant to be born, and the angels brought, you know, a message to her through me because I do channeling and I do messages, um, for people. And so they not only showed up for her, the angels to tell her, but for me to, because I was working in that space, for me to tell her to reconfirm that, this was a soul that needed to be born. Now, a lot of people who are mediums just do people, um, readings for people who have passed, but not souls that come in, um, who are meant to be born, which shows to me that, there's always a divine purpose for everything, because this child was meant to be born. And so the angels had brought the message not only to her, but to me to reconfirm that for her. So everything is divinely orchestrated. So that shows me that everything is divinely orchestrated. Everything is meant to be. You're meant to be. I'm meant to be. We are where we're supposed to be. And nobody's lost. Nobody is found because we are everything. We are it, right? So we are right where we're supposed to be. Everything is supposed to happen as it's supposed to happen, and things will happen in order to make them happen when it needs to be. So there's divine intervention, right? So having that experience, that a lot of people don't get to experience, having that baby soul come in to let me know that they're waiting, so they can be born. They're wanting to take up that body, to be in that existence was really amazing. But I want to talk about now about the one of the other experiences I had there. Because prior to my awakening, 2010, I literally lived under a rock. I was so humanly condensed, um, by all the conditioning and the programming that I was like sheltered, and it wasn't sheltered, as far as being protected. It was like conditioned, sheltered. Like I didn't have any awareness of a lot of the stuff that I was now starting to experience after my awakening, after I surrendered my life, of the old ways. um, Being the awakening and coming into the new awarenesses, I was being shown and taught, a lot of different things, that, when I went home, I and that's going to be a different video, my going home experience. You know, Coming back, having agreed to that, um, I knew that I would be having more experiences and being able to, um, put the pieces together, if you will. And so, with that, um, let me just talk about this experience. Like, I didn't even know really about, because I wasn't really religious. I tried a couple times going to churches, things like that, but um, it just didn't resonate with me, so I stayed away from it. Um, but like I knew I had experiences since I was a child, with seeing people who've passed over, knowing people when they were going to die, things like that. But, it was like I kind of pushed it away because I wasn't ready and I didn't want to involve, and I didn't know anybody who was having those experiences. So I, didn't make much of it and I just would ignore it. But since the awakening, I started having more experiences. And when I was at this one clinic, I started having a lot of experiences, and it kind of started waking me up to things that are beyond, our reality. Because it's actually, we are, spiritual beings having a human experience, not humans having a spiritual experience, right? It's the opposite. So, um, at this facility, we had uh, this one lady in there, and sorry, people are arguing over there. Anyway, um, so I was at the facility the one day, and it was a rainy day, and I don't know if this place was actually on like a vortex or whatever, but there was just so much things going on there. And I don't want to term it like strange or weird, but to me at the time I was like, what is going on here, right? So it was a rainy day. It was like early in the morning, and I was standing in the hallway because I was a mental health tech, and um, they were coming out of group, and I was like, the lights were flickering. The lights. I was like, oh God, I hope the lights don't go out because that means we're gonna have to get the flashlights out and help them back to their rooms, things like that. So I was standing there doing the monitoring of the hallways, making sure everybody's going back to their rooms so they can get ready for their lunches and snacks and things like that. And this one, the patients, they come walking by me, and they were kind of like had their one hand up like this, and they were kind of like limping, and they had their hands like, I'll do this, like that, and like they were like kind of stomping like this, and I'm like, what is she doing, right? And I wasn't like outwardly doing that, but I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what's going on here? What happened in there, you know? And I'm like, what is going on? And so I just kind of like mental note, and I'm like, okay. So because we would make notes, you know, in the nurse's office station of what we've observed for the day. Mental note, okay. And I think it was like a day or two later, because we have had an art room, and they had free art open sessions. And when I was actually viewing her that day, when she was walking like that, like I was actually seeing, it was like an image of like a dinosaur, right? And I was like, oh my God, am I seeing what I'm seeing, or am I not seeing what I'm seeing? So when I saw that, um, I was like, what is going on here? And so making this mental note, I was like, what is happening? Like I just couldn't contemplate it. I'm like, what? Like, am I seeing? Because like when the lights were flashing, it was like creating um, this view for me to see. And as I was watching her walk like that, you know, and it was like it was almost like she was lame on one, and then she was like this, and she was part of the eating disorders, right? And so she was not a meat eater. Let's just say she was, you know, a vegetarian, right? And so putting these things together, I'm like, oh my God, what is happening here? And I didn't even know about past lives. I didn't know about any of that stuff. You know what I mean? And it just like, I don't know. I was just like, what? You know, awakening, right? It kind of brought into the awareness that, you know, past lives exist, and, you know, things that have the past are still there. And we are from that lineage if we've had that experience or we've been part of it. But yeah, as she was walking down the hallway, you know, she was kind of having that persona of like one of those little raptor dinosaurs or whatever was a meat eater. Um, Not to say that that's why she was in the addiction clinic, but she was not eating meat. She was in there for eating disorder, right? Um, but it was so funny that she had portrayed that view for me to see as the dinosaur walking down the hallway, and the light that was going on through the storm. It was almost like I was in a different place at the time with her as I was observing her, and she was walking down the hallway, like being that in her outward expression. Um, and so to see that, like I mentally noted that. I was like, what is going on? You know, I just couldn't fathom like really what that was. And it kind of sparked, you know, okay, I need to know more about this. But I made a note on, you know, what I observed. And then a few days later, I had gone into the art room because you monitor halls, you go in and you check different places and things. She was sitting in there during free art, and she was drawing, and I kind of walked in there just to walk around to see what she was drawing because I'm interested in art, and I did some art myself there with them, some classes I led for them. And she was literally drawing this dinosaur. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, she drew the dinosaur that I saw, that she was portraying her outward expression in acting that way as she was walking down the hall, almost like she was the dinosaur. And I'm like, okay, what is happening here? Things started clicking and making sense, and I'm like, okay, um, she's has an eating disorder. She's obviously seeing this dinosaur, and so she's drawing it. And so, is she from a past life? Is she bringing it through? From what I was learning and what I was experiencing, and from the knowledge, and with channeling this book, it all kind of brings it all together. And I'm like, was this a past life of hers, or is she in a different realm or reality? What is going on here? Because she didn't always act like it. It was just this one day that she had hourly, acted like this, and at that right time where the lights were flickering off, it kind of created like this movie per se of this happening. And I'm like, first it was the baby, then it was this, and I was like, okay, there's a lot more going on here than what I'm seeing in this physical reality, which we think is real, but isn't. It's a mix of different realities. Everything is still existing, and from my understanding, as time have gone on, we actually still have the realm of dinosaurs. It's not here. It's in a different realm, right? So they still do exist. They're not dead. The world of dinosaurs had shifted from where we are now into a different world. So it exists on its own, right? So it was really weird. And I really want to say that, maybe this addiction center was in a place where um, like it was like a vortex or something, because I had a lot of experiences there. And it was just really interesting. Now, um, whether it was like, and I don't know fully, whether it was like a mixture where the vortexes came together, or was like an opening or portal. Um, but it was just so weird that a lot of things were happening, and it was starting to bring into my awareness, right? And so when I started going to a Buddhist center, I was like starting to learn about past lives, right? But at that point, I wasn't aware of past lives, things like that. So, with that being said, if she was that in a past life, she's still carrying that within her, and it's very possible that's coming back up in this lifetime. Now, for whatever reason, I was the observer of that, to help me bring into the awareness, that past lives exist, or whatever that was. But I was the observer of that, and so it kind of was like a teaching for me from spirit source, that exists, right? Past lives exist. And so, yeah, that was just one of the stories. There's a couple other stories, which I'll get to, which, one of them is of my own, a couple of them are of my own, not like that, but yeah, it was really interesting to see a dinosaur in the addiction center, which kind of made sense. So, if she was, having eating disorders, if that was her, what she was getting and channeling and bringing through, and maybe to heal that, because I know, like, our current space of reality is what it is because of the past. And if it's not been resolved, in order to move forward, we have to deal with it no matter where we are in the present moment. And so maybe she had, as Dinosaur, some things left over, that was unresolved, that she needed to clear in this lifetime. So it came up in a different way, as her human self, in order to heal it, to put that to rest, right? So she can move forward for whatever reason. So I just got done doing, a video on our set points, which I'm going to be posting. It's number 6, from the clip from the book. And So that kind of helps bring things together for me in understanding. Because a lot of times you'll have experiences in life that if you don't have the understanding, things will come together for you to have the understanding. And as you grow and develop and evolve, then you have different awareness of it, at a later point, So at that point, I had one awareness of it. I was just learning about through spirit, through that experience, that past lives do exist. And so we carry it through to us, to the present moment. And no matter what form we're taking, it'll come up from the dead, right? We can arise it, so we can see it and heal it. Even if it's from life to life, it's not always within the same life. So it's whenever we're ready. And so from my understanding, if I'm taking it from that perspective, in this lifetime, she was ready to deal with whatever happened then. Now, regardless whether that was, she got into a fight with somebody or whatever the cause that, in that past lifetime, she was bringing it forward in this lifetime to heal and deal with it, right? And so that's where she was with that. And so that was my observance of it from that perspective. So I can see it from that outside view in order to help people, in the sessions that I do with people with coaching and healing, things like that. And so I'm able to kind of see more from a different perspective on all that's, what's going on. So I would say, that from my understanding, that's what was happening. But without that experience, I wouldn't have my knowledge now. So I would say from that view, whatever happened in the past life when she was that, because we have been other forms in different lifetimes, whether it's us or what where we've come from, because even our parents have had parents and parents and parents and parents. We have lineages that all comes to form, and whatever we've been, we just are not in it. We are in our current form of reality of where we are. So when we are in the now form, we're able to contemplate of the past to bring it to a new awareness and change and shift it and heal it or transform it to make something else. And so that's the set point in the last video that I talked about, and I'm going to be posting that shortly. So if you were to put that in frame of reference to her in that scenario, that was her, for whether it was her own past life or her through her genes or her genetics or her family lineage, somebody at some point, was a dinosaur. And she has had the experience to be in that space to transform that from the human concept to transform into something else. So whether she has or hadn't, I don't know. But the last I seen of it was the art picture that she was drawing of her as the dinosaur, but I don't think she realized that was her. But I don't know. I wasn't in the sessions with her, and I wasn't able to, help her with that. So I was just the onlooker, the observer of that. So I had my own frame of reference to what was going on from that perspective of the observer of it, right? And that's the thing too, like when you're an observer of something, nothing is until it's seen. Just like the tree in the forest, nothing is heard until you hear it, right? Even though it makes a sound, nobody hears it if they're not within the facility to hear it, just like if you're not in the facility to see it, it's not being seen. So when you're an observer, when you see something, you bring it to life, right? If it becomes a fulfillment, it comes to life, right? So I don't know. Yeah, that's the experience of the dinosaur in the addiction center. If you have any questions and want to put anything below in the comments, go ahead and do that. If you want to book any sessions, with coaching, things like that, if you're questioning your past lives, anything like that, I do coaching sessions and spiritual awareness sessions, things like that, and we can have a communication, talk about it and see what we can come up with it. So yeah, definitely reach out if you want to have a session, or if want to just talk about like past lives, things like that. We can book a session, or just drop some comments in below. And always, it's a friendly YouTube channel, so please be mindful of how you're wording things. And yeah, I guess that's it. I will see you in the next video. All right, I have a few other stories coming up, that might help bring things into awareness. I know my experiences have. It's really opened me up to seeing things that I didn't know about. And I'm gonna have a lot of other cool stories to share. How I came into learning about um, our evolution and our seeing different things like the Native American. I did some out of body experiences, things like that. I had a death experience, past life review. So I'm going to be sharing those stories because I think it's fun. And I love the way that they came to me through spirit, through source, to help me, teach me, and open me up to this awareness and these experiences, right? Because without it, I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have now. So I am definitely grateful for that, because without it, I wouldn't. And I've learned about manifesting through I'm gonna say, a twin flame, and I'm gonna share that too. That was an amazing experience. So, all right, well, stay tuned. Like and subscribe. That way, you are notified when my videos come up, and yeah, check them out. All right, like, subscribe, and share. Have a great day. Happy journeys.